So for this project, I started with this sign that I got from Dollar Tree, and I removed the hanger from the back, and then I took a 220 grit sandpaper and just gave it a nice sanding, taking off any of the glitter that was on the front. And then I took some Wise Owl white primer and I applied 2 coats of this. Wise Owl primer comes in white, clear, or gray. And after that had dried, I took some Antique Villa and covered the entire sign with 2 coats. So for this next step, I wanted to mix some colors together. So I started with some Antique Villa on the left side, and I added a little bit of Anchor to it to get a light color. And then on the right side, I started with some Antique Villa and added a little more Anchor than on the left side to get a darker shade. But it is still lighter than the actual Anchor color. Now once the paint was mixed, I grabbed 1.5 inch painter's tape and I laid a piece at the top of my sign. My second piece of tape here is going to be a spacer that I'm going to lift up after I lay the third piece down. And I will continue this step down the entire sign. And this is just a way that you can create some even stripes. I took the lighter shade that we mixed together on the left side, and using a Gen foam brush, I just painted the entire sign, covering the white. Once the white that was exposed was covered, I then lifted up the tape and I made sure it was dry before I moved to the next step. I then turned my sign sideways and I repeated the same thing, starting at the center of the sign with my painter's tape, and I created stripes now in the other direction. I took the darker shade that we had mixed on the right and I covered any exposed areas where the tape was not covered. I then took a blow dryer to just help speed up the dry time a little bit. And this time I'm going to leave the painter's tape down, and I took some more, and it's hard to see in the video here, but you can almost use the previous lines as a guide, and I placed the tape back on top every other stripe. And then I took the regular Anchor paint, which was the darkest shade that we had, and I went on top of the exposed areas. Now, when I lifted the tape here, it did lift up some of the paint because it was not fully dry. But I actually really liked how this came out. It almost gave it a distressed look. So if you do not like the distressed look, I recommend that you let it fully dry in between the steps. So when you lift up the tape, the paint does not peel. Now I set the sign aside and I had found these tags from Hobby Lobby. They came 25 in a pack for $2.99. And I took 7 of them and I painted them using goldenrod. I applied 2 coats. I set them aside to dry, and I had this wooden word that I had gotten from Michael's. It says blessed, and I painted that using the goldenrod as well. I went back to my little tags, and I grabbed this flexible stencil from the Dollar Tree, and I took a foam dabber and some Anchor Wise Owl paint, and I stenciled a letter onto each tag. And once that was complete, I then had the word forever. I took a very small art brush and I just connected the lines where there were any gaps left from the stencil. I then took some thin twine that I had and I strung the twine through the top hole on each tag. And then I attached this little banner that says forever to the top of the sign using some hot glue. And then I attached the word blessed right below it. I tied a knot on each side of the mini banner we made. And there you go. Now we have this very easy Buffalo Plaid Forever Blessed sign. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Paint products can be found on our webpage at chalkitupfancy.com, and don't forget you can check out some other tutorials on our webpage or YouTube. Have a great day!